The problem with a big rank gap is there's so many lessons that you're doing wrong, it can be overwhelming. Usually you just want to take one or two things from a game. And learn one thing at a time. Because it's hard to learn 5 things at a time. So if you're having trouble playing stronger players, just limit the rank, restrict the rank. Joseki is here. Yeah, the Joseki's here. This is the first Joseki you should learn with the start point. Learn Josekis if you're playing 19 by 19. You have no excuse. And you need to expand on the third line to make a base. Because you want bases on 19 by 19. I don't really like any of these moves. Okay, let's talk about this for a second. Why don't I like this corner? Why do I not like this corner? Let's think about what we're getting. Black is getting thickness with no base. White is getting second line territory and even getting cutting points and Ataris and everything else. White has maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points. If I go here, I can make like 15 or 20. Arguably. So, the things that I talk about on the 19 by 19, the first things you should learn is open corners, open sides, and large framework, right? And then I always say for my students, make a base, make a base, make a base on the 19 by 19. It creates such an easier game for yourself. It's much easier to handle. Not having a base can create complications down the road. For example, if I want to play on the right side and come in, I can just come in. You try to attack me, all of a sudden, while I'm running away, your entire group that's supposed to be your thickness is a weak group. Because it doesn't have any eyes. It doesn't have a base. So how can you attack without eyes? How can you attack without a base? Your thickness isn't thickness, it's a weak group. The second thing I always say is learn Josekis. Learn them one at a time because there's thousands of them that you will have to learn. But you will never learn 1,000 Josekis until you learn one. You will never learn 1,000 Josekis until you learn one. If you learn one every single game, every time your opponent plays a Joseki you don't know, or you play a Joseki you don't know, after the game, look it up, and just learn the basic variation, like the simplest variation first. And then as you go, every time your opponent plays a Joseki you don't know, learn it. And then you'll learn one Joseki at a time, and over time, after like a few hundred games, you'll probably know 20, 30 Josekis. Alright, next up is how to play on an open side. Okay, so we're on the bottom side. We're saying that's the next open side. You have a base, so you don't really need a base. So usually, on an open side, you make an enclosure, which is a one-space jump to the third line. You don't really need this because you're already on the third line, so you don't really need to enclose this. The next up is an approach, one space away. And the last one is an extension. An extension is a 5-space jump or a 4-space jump. With a Shamari, usually you see a 5-space jump because it's very easy to it's very powerful from a Shamari or from a corner enclosure. So 5-space jump. Third line if they are here because you want to seal it. Fourth line if it's your stone because you want to develop it. So the 3 options: enclose, approach, or extend. This is a 3-space jump, so it looks like some sort of base. But you already have a base, so you don't need it. Alright, so he goes in. So now we're looking at weaknesses. Step 1, take the base. Step 2, surround. So step 1, take the base. So I expect this move. Ooh, Touching single stones is not good. Touching single stones makes both sides strong. Yes, Dizzy, I completely agree with you. I recommend whenever you study openings, play the same opening every single game for like 50 games. Learn it inside and out. And then after you play 50 games, change openings and learn another one. And then learn another one. And get like 5 or 6 openings and then rotate between them and just keep going in a circle between all the openings. If you see a new opening out there that you haven't experienced before, maybe add that one to the list. Play it for 50 games, learn it inside and out. And then after you play 6 different openings, 50 times each, you're at like 300 games. You're probably stronger. Now it's time to redo the whole thing again, because likely there's higher level Josekis you can play now. So yeah, don't change your opening every single game. That's too confusing. It's too hard to learn. It's not efficient. So yeah. Is this a good opening for our double-digit queue? My advice for double-digit queues is start with a Shamari and a 3-4. This leads to simpler variations, and also it gets you started with territory. The problem with star points is star points put a lot of pressure in the center, or a lot of I'm not saying pressure is not the right word I'm looking for. I'm brain farting. A lot of emphasis on the center, or a lot of importance on the center, and double-digit queues are known for not knowing how to use the center yet, or not knowing how to build the center. So star points are a little bit harder to use for a double-digit queue because you don't know how to use influence yet. But eventually you'll want to learn. But if you're asking me what your first opening should be, I would start with 3-4s because there's a lot of territory there. It's a lot easier to learn. So I'm talking for a 22 queue. I'm not really talking for a 14 queue or something like that. So let's say my first opening. I'll probably start with 2 3-4s and a Shamari. Gets me territory immediately. I only have one corner to worry about, and then I can learn from there. And then let's say I want to start adding on star points. So maybe I'll start adding a star point and a Shamari. So I still work with something I kind of know, but I'm adding on a little bit something new. And then I go from a little bit, I'll go from there to maybe 2 star points. And then I'll rotate a little bit more and change up my 3-4 and go to the Chinese opening or something. Like going in that where it's kind of relative to what you just learned, but something a little bit different, so it's a little bit new, lets you apply some stuff you still know with a little bit of new stuff so that way you can learn. But it's not completely new. So it's it's sort of a system that kind of makes sense. That like you just add on a little bit at a time, and eventually work your way around the openings and learn just a little bit more at a time. So the problem that I'm seeing so far, like with this game, is you're playing on the 19x19, but there's a lot of stuff that you're not really understanding just yet. Thank you for the follow, the Ventus. Welcome to the stream. Let me know if you have any questions. So, if you don't have something to start with or something to work with right off the bat, then unfortunately every single move is going to be a mistake. It sounds harsh, but if you don't know what basics to follow, then it's just going to be random moves. If you don't know I'm supposed to take the base and then surround if they do something silly, then your moves are going to end up trying to do something like that. Because you don't really understand what you're trying to do. You don't understand the goal. So it's more important for you to learn the goal of the turn, like the Clossi approach or something, than it is for you to play the exactly correct moves. You're attacking the weak group. Okay, cool. Now let's take it a step further. How do you attack? Take the base. Alright, he ignored, so you take a liberty. Keep up the attack on the weak group. Keep up consistency with your plan. Okay, so you make a base. Fine, whatever. And then you get distracted. Because there's a weak group right here, but he played elsewhere, so you followed and played elsewhere. So right now it's important for you to learn the goal and follow through with that goal and be consistent. Yeah. Your opponent played on a weak group, you attacked the weak group. He ignored, and you ignored with him because if he's playing elsewhere, you want to play elsewhere. It's that sort of like follow the leader kind of mentality. That's a big mistake though, because if you don't see that there's a weak group right here, then you don't see that he's making mistakes, and you have a chance to capitalize on it. Surround the weak group. Force him out. Make massive influence while he runs away. Yeah. The problem with playing players that are much better than you is if you don't know what you're looking for, then they're just going to overwhelm you because they'll have like 10 tactics to your one tactic. I think it's more important to learn what the goals are, and then you can test out how effective you are at accomplishing those goals with stronger players. But if you don't have a direction to start with, playing stronger players is just going to be confusing. Yeah. Now, with that being said, I don't think you should never play strong players. Like the teaching games with me or playing strong players with teaching games every so often I think is very helpful. I think is very beneficial. It's practicing your tactics and your goals and stuff against someone stronger than you, and then they can tell you if you're making an overall theme mistake. Yeah, +2, -2 is usually what I recommend. But you have to play your level to test this stuff out, to practice stuff and master stuff, and then you can get an overall theme or something from like teaching games, game reviews, or whatever. So I'm not saying never play strong players. I'm saying probably you should probably play 10 games against your level for every teaching game that you get. That's usually a good ratio. 10 people at your level for every person that's like 5-6 ranks stronger than you or more. Yeah, for your level is like +or -2. I think that's good. But if you can play like 10 games against your level for every strong player or teaching game that you get, I think that's a good balance of you get new information, you practice that information, you go get more information, you practice new information. It's a good like little ratio. It gives you practice time. The problem here though is there's not enough direction. So if I critically analyze your moves, every single move is going to be wrong, and I don't want to do that. Like here, he already fixed the cutting point with this one, so it's wrong. Here, he's not surrounded, so why are you playing a vital point? Here, you're trying to cut a knight's move. Okay, that's something. It's on the weak group. You tried it out. You stay connected. That was good. That was good. Alright, he plays don't run with the ladder. Alright, so you capture him here, but you need to stay on the weak group. And then capture. Okay, but it's fine. These moves make more sense because you're on the weak group. Yeah, block your base. One lesson per section? Okay. Well, attack and defense is mid-game, right? What does chat know what my biggest advice for 20Q middle game is? What's the most important thing for 20Qs to learn in their middle game? Yeah, Belladonna, you're correct, but more specifically, cutting points. Defense is fix your cuts, offense is check their cuts. Read the Clossi approach. You're okay with losing these 2 stones? These are the cutting stones. You gotta go here. These 2 stones are dead. Yeah, you're attacking these 2 stones right here. But you're missing the cutting points. I think you're trying to seal this group in the corner, but he's already out. Yeah, that's way too advanced. You don't, you're trying to apply advanced tactics, but you're missing, like, your level tactics. Play at your level. Your level is cutting points. Surrounding weak groups is, like, 2 stages above that. 2 or 3 stages above that. Cutting points are 9x9. Then there's, like, blocking and making your territory, make a base, and then surround. Yeah, you're trying to surround him in the corner. He's already out. He's not even... He has 2 eyes. It's not even worth surrounding this, unfortunately. Take it step by step. Here, you want to... Actually, you can just cut this. You just cut this. Check the cutting points. Yeah, you're losing your base. Don't force him to fix cutting points. Now you're trying to surround again, but he's alive, so why are you surrounding? You should be playing a big move. Play a big move. Take it step by step. If he has a base and has eyes, why are you surrounding, which is an attacking concept, but you can't attack living groups? So I think the problem is you're trying to apply too much information. Yeah, you're trying to do too much. Simplify it for yourself. Are you weak? Is your opponent weak? Play a big move. That's what you should be doing at this level. Do you have a base? Do you have cutting points? Does he have a base? Does he have cutting points? Play a big move. Open corners, open side, largest framework. That's all it is at this level. No need to, like, be fancy surrounding living groups, trying to find Tasujis. None of that. Because, yeah, you're trying to surround and cut them off, and you're missing double Ataris. You're overwhelming yourself. Yeah, you can attack living groups. But, we're about done for today, Julio. Sorry. So, opening. Learn Josekis, learn an opening. Make bases. Middle game. Make bases. Take bases. Don't surround things without taking the base first. If they have 2 eyes, don't surround them. That's an attacking idea. You can't attack living groups. And get to big moves sooner. Thank you for the follow. Curiosus. Let me know if you have any questions. Welcome to the stream. Let me know if you have any questions. Yep. Hopefully you found that helpful. All right, Radna Zero.